Hey guys, what is going on? Jurgen from ZurGrinoSports here, and today I'm coming at you with the March 1st, 2021 edition of Raw Review. Quickly before we get into the review, quick self-plug time. If you'd like to support me and the channel, you can do so over at Patreon. First link in the description. If not, that's A-OK. You could join the Discord server, link in the description, and I also got my Twitter in there as well. But without further ado, let's get into the review. So Raw happened today, absolutely. There was one big thing that I was very happy about, which we'll get to. And overall, the show just ended like a few minutes ago for me when I'm recording this. Overall, I think it was fine. Maybe my opinion will change after I actually run through the whole show back to back, reading through my notes and stuff, but let's see. So we started things off with a Drew promo. Where Drew says that it's been a bitch of a month for him. First, Sheamus betrayed him, 20 years of friendship down the drain. He still doesn't understand why, but, they have a match tonight, so they're just going to beat the shit out of each other, so that's whatever. Then he talks about how in Elimination Chamber, he defeated 5 former world champions. He was battered and bruised. He retained his title. Then Lashley came out and beat him again and again and again. He beat his ass, basically, and then Miz cashed in. And he says how he wants to regain his title and go to Mania, essentially. He says that he didn't, win it in the Performance Center and carry it on his back and carry the company through COVID and make the title the most prestigious title in the business. He didn't do all of that just to get screwed at the finish line. And then he starts to call out Sheamus to start their match because their match is scheduled to start off the show. Miz interrupts. Of course, he's accompanied by John Morrison. He tells Mike Rome to officially introduce him, the current WWE champion, blah, blah, blah. He has a shit ton of pyro. And then he talks about how he couldn't help but overhear what Drew said. He admires how Drew is handling everything. Morrison points out, as a former champion should, with elegance and stuff, because everything that happened to Drew was out of his control, with the whole cash-in and everything. And then Drew's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I haven't had a chance to congratulate you, Miz. How about you get in the ring and I'll give you a good old hug? And then Miz is like, I'll pass. I know I'm not your favorite person in the world right now, but if we think about it, why would you be upset with me? You know what I mean? Would you be upset at like a bird flying or some shit like that? Like, why... why would you be upset at the Money in the Bank holder using the Money in the Bank as it was intended to be used, pretty much? You should not be blaming me. The one man and only man you should be blaming is Lashley. And Drew says it's not going to work. He claims to be a master manipulator, but it's not going to work on him. He's going to have to deal with Lashley all by himself tonight. Miz points out, he says, how dare you? I never asked for Lashley's help. I'm actually a victim. I'm a father and a husband. Lashley threatened me and my family. I had no choice but to make that deal with him. And while we're at it, why would Lashley get the first shot instead of somebody more deserving? And then he tells him to join forces with him and Morrison. They could form M&M or something like that. Ms. Morrison, McIntyre or something. MVP comes out. He says, Miz, you're not trying to, negotiate any other business deals, are you, bro? And he says, Drew, you're not falling for this, right? And Drew said, like he said a year ago to MVP, because MVP tried to get in Drew's head before Brock, on like an episode of VIP Lounge, and then afterwards he said that he would be responsible for when Drew lost the championship, and he was technically. So I don't know if that was the intention or if that was just kind of like MVP having good promo work that kind of worked out, over time. But anyways, a year ago, MVP tried to help Drew. Drew says he didn't want or need it, and he says, like he said a year ago, he doesn't want or need help. MVP says that, he came out here to say that Lashley gets his match at 9 p.m. EST, so Miz has until then pretty much to defend the title. So the top of the second hour of Raw. Sheamus interrupts after Miz starts to try and plead with Drew. He says, you're wasting your breath. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. Basically putting him down kind of thing. And then Drew's like, okay, enough talk. Let's fight. They get out. They brawl for a little bit. The refs come out to try and separate them. Drew clotheslines Sheamus into, like, over the barricade into where the crowd would be. Gets in the ring, stands on the turnbuckle, and stares out to Sheamus, who's staring back up at him. We go to commercial. And then we come back to Sheamus versus Drew. I think Sheamus versus Drew went about 25 minutes, 24 minutes, something like that. It was minimum 20 minutes. It was two big dudes beating the absolute shit out of each other. It was fucking fantastic. There was a belly-to-belly by Drew on the outside where Sheamus landed across the announcer's table on like the small of his back, which looked brutal, and then he got suplexed onto the table as well. Table didn't break, but yeah. And then for the finish, there was Drew and Sheamus both going for their finishing moves, the Brogue Kick and the Claymore. The Claymore reaches Sheamus before the Brogue reaches Drew, so kind of like the horseback riding, like the lancing, I think it's called. Is that what it's called? Right? Or when like you get on the horse and you have the pole and you have to like beat your opponent to, you know what I mean? That it was kind of a similar vibe to that. Drew gets the Claymore, gets the win. Really, really good match. I do have a little bit of a problem with it opening the show, and not really it opening the show. I don't really care about that, really, because it was a great way to open the show. It was a fantastic match. I really enjoyed it. Drew winning is the right call. My issue is that was a pay-per-view match. They should have saved that for a pay-per-view, I think, but you know, a match like that on free TV, fuck it. I like it. It was a great match, great way to start the show. The promos before it, maybe a bit too long. I think it took like 15 minutes or so to get through those promos. So maybe a little bit too long on the promos. Something that could have been said in like 5-10 minutes. You didn't really have to have Drew go into as much detail as he did. You didn't have to have Miz waffle on as long as he did. MVP was nice and short to the point. Sheamus were nice and short to the point. So just the promo was a little bit long. You could have shaved a few minutes off of it, but that's just a minor complaint. Then we had backstage Naomi dancing, then Nia cutting her off, and then they stare down, and then we go to commercial, and then we come back to Naomi with Lana accompanying her versus Nia with Shayna, where Nia beats Naomi clean. Okay, Vince. Have a good one. Then we have a video package with that shows Rhea Ripley's coming soon. The match was shit, by the way. I'm breezing past it because the match was shit. Nia's shit. A clean win over Naomi shit. I'm not even a big fan of Naomi. I'm somebody who's not like one of those people who are like, oh, Naomi should be against Asuka at Mania for the title, because I've seen that on Twitter. I don't think that at all. I think Naomi's very athletic. I don't think she's the best worker. I don't think she's a very good promo. You know what I mean? And character-wise, she just kind of like goes out there, smiles and dances and stuff like that. So I'm not really getting much from her as like the whole package. But she's very athletic. She can do some cool shit, which is awesome. But I'm not like a big fan of Naomi in the sense that I think she should be in the title picture and stuff like that, like some people are. And this was still fucking stupid as fuck to me. And then Nia just beat her clean, and it wasn't really even competitive. It was just like kind of Nia beating her in a short match. It just wasn't good. Outcome wasn't good. The match itself, quality wasn't good, whatever. Rhea Ripley coming soon. Then we had Lashley versus The Miz for the WWE Championship at the start of the hour. Lashley makes his entrance. He waits, no music for a little bit. They're like, where the fuck is Miz? Miz's music hits. Miz's music plays for a bit. No Miz. We cut backstage. Miz is claiming stomach aches, stuff like that with Morrison. Pierce comes by. He's like, well, what's wrong? He's like, oh, I can't do it. Stomach aches. I've been throwing up all day, this and that. He's like, brother, I get that you're fucking stressed, but you got to defend this championship. Lashley goes backstage, finds them, grabs Miz by the face up against some like storage boxes and says, hey, like, you know, I'm winning that. I'm beating your ass tonight. You're defending that title tonight, kind of thing. And then he leaves. Pierce, you know, crouches down after Miz is on the floor, and Pierce is like, hey, you know, if I have to drag you out there myself, Miz, you're defending that championship at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. So there was the first bait and switch of the night, you know what I mean? Which I didn't really expect them. I kind of expected them to do something. I didn't expect them to have Lashley winning the title at 9 p.m. and then the rest of the show is just kind of like a anticlimax, you know what I mean? So I did expect something, so that happened, and that's fine. You know, Miz is a chicken shit heel. It fits his character. It is what it is. Some people were really, really upset about it. They were like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. It's like, do you really think it would have been a good idea to have your championship defended at the start of the second hour of a 3-hour Raw and then have the rest of the show go on? If the title is getting defended on a Raw, it either has to open or end the show. There's no way you can, like, there's no plausible reason to have the main championship go on anywhere other than opening or last, in my opinion. Just having it somewhere in the middle of the show doesn't mean much, you know what I mean? So I saw people upset at the bait and switch, but I mean, like, what did you expect? Did you actually expect them to have a championship match with a title change? Because you know for a fact Miz is not beating Lashley with how if Lashley just beat Braun clean last week, Miz isn't sniffing any offense on Lashley, let alone getting a win. So I don't know why people were so outraged and like genuinely hurt by that. I thought it was very expected that it would not happen at 9 o'clock, so it's fine. Then we had Braun Strowman cutting a promo, talking about how it's clear that Pierce and Shane have something against him. First, he got suspended for headbutting Pierce. Then he wasn't in the chamber because he didn't meet a, technicality, and without the monster among men in the chamber, it sucked. So saying things suck is, I guess, Braun's new thing, which is not good. Braun being a whiny little baby about things that actually just make sense is not good. Braun being like, oh, I fucking assaulted a person in a management position and I was suspended? You have something against me. No, in any other fucking area of work, you're getting fired and probably sent to jail, brother. You guys just, like, it doesn't make sense for him to be complaining about that. Like, in terms of context within, like, how shit works in wrestling, or in terms of his character. Nothing about that makes sense that he was like, oh, I assaulted a fucking backstage personnel, a member of management. Oh, that was bullshit. I got suspended for that. Hey, fellas, I'm a face now, I think, maybe. I don't know what the fuck he's actually supposed to be. So, he said he wasn't in the chamber. He said he didn't meet the technicality, which by technicality it makes sense. Him saying things suck isn't really a good catchphrase, so I hope they stop doing that, but they probably won't. Now he announces that he was just told he's in a random tag match. He doesn't know who he's against. He doesn't know who his tag partner is, but he's starting to get pissed off. Shane and Pierce come out, and Shane pretty much talks down to him, says Braun's angry about his own inability to achieve his goals, but Shane is here to help. He helps people, he helps himself. He's been, studying for an MBA. And one of the courses he's doing is conflict management. And in one of the books, which is above Braun's reading level, I'm just joking, Braun, calm down, when Braun approaches him, he says that, he's been learning about conflict management, conflict resolution, stuff like that. And that's what the tag match was. He said that Shane made the match because he needs to work with management, and the way to do that is by being forced to work with management. And the way they're doing that is that he's being made to team with tag team. He's being made to tag team with management. He says, oh, what, are you going to be my partner? He's like, no, it's Adam Pearce. Braun's like, that sucks. And he's like, hey, listen, Braun. So it's for the titles. And he's like, okay, that's not bad, Shane, but if Pierce screws it up, he's going to get these hands. And then he grabs him by the suit, and then blah, blah, blah. Pierce is in a suit. We go to commercial. We come back. It's the Hurt Business versus Braun and Adam Pearce for the tag team championships. No MVP with Hurt Business, unfortunately, so we didn't get any of that. We had Shane at ringside. The match was pretty much Braun attacked Hurt Business members before the match started. And then he beat up on Cedric for a bit. Then Shelton tagged in. They got a little bit of momentum on him. Cedric got sent to the outside. Shelton shot off the ropes, got caught into like a sidewalk slam carry, followed through into a power slam carry, completes the power slam on Shelton Benjamin towards his corner with Pierce. Shane immediately gets up on the apron, starts yelling, tag, 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 tag Pierce, it's over, tag, tag. And then they're both looking at him like, what the fuck are you talking about, Shane? And then Braun gets up kind of thing, and he's like, you know what, fine, tags in Pierce. Pierce is surprised that he got tagged in. He's like, fine, you wanted this? There you go. Fucking shut up. Pierce gets in. He's like, okay, I'll pin Shelton. Shelton rolls him up off of the pin. 1, 2, 3. Hurt Business retain their tag titles. Pierce fucking hauls ass because he doesn't want to get killed by Braun, and then Braun starts screaming at Shane, who's at ringside. He's like, he's just the puppet, you're the puppet master, you know what I mean? It's blah blah blah, you're jerking my chain around and it's pissing me off. I'm gonna destroy the whole place if you don't fuck off, kind of thing. And then he angrily leaves. The promo, like I said, I didn't like whiny Braun. I don't really like Shane being condescending to Braun. I know that they're going to do Shane and Braun at Mania. That's obviously where they're teasing for this. But it's just, like, what is Shane supposed to be? What is Braun supposed to be? Are they supposed to be faces? Are they supposed to be heels? I genuinely have no fucking clue. Because Braun's out here assaulting backstage personnel. Because Adam Pearce is a face, pretty much. Because he's neutral, so neutral kind of leaning towards face, right? So like he's assaulting him, so he's technically a heel, but then Shane's talking down to him. So is Shane the face for talking down to the heel, or is Shane the heel for saying, "Hey, you're my employee. You're a dumb sack of shit, motherfucker. Get fucking shat on, bitch. Ha, fuck you." Like, I don't understand what anybody is supposed to be. So the promo was whatever. I got genuinely worried that they were going to put Braun with the tag titles. I got genuinely worried just because it's something that Vince would do. But luckily, the right call was made. They retained the tag team championships in a way that protects Braun, of course, because you got to protect Braun because he's fucking 8 feet tall or some shit. Which I don't really have a problem with, that you need to protect Braun. I mean, he's somebody who's that large. You can't really give him clean losses every week. You know what I mean? So you do have to protect him in some sense. But yeah, Adam Pearce can take a pin. He's not an active wrestler anymore, so nothing wrong with that. Tag team titles defended, that's fine. It's building towards what they want to do, which is Shane and Braun, evidently, or presumably. So it was good in achieving what they wanted to do. It's just I don't really understand much of like who's the face, who's the heel. Are they both tweeners? Like I don't really know. But yeah, it wasn't the worst. It wasn't anything that was like, oh, this is fucking shit. It's just it wasn't anything spectacular where I was like, oh man, that was fantastic. I'm glad I'm spending 3 hours watching this show. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like meh. The promo was kind of shit. I'll say that. But the match was fine. The booking of the match was fine. I'm not upset at it, I guess. I'm not too keen on Braun versus Shane just because it won't be a very good match probably, unless Braun just absolutely murders Shane for like 10 minutes, and then it might be entertaining as like a palate cleanser between title matches or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see. And then we had a backstage segment with Priest and Bad Bunny talking. Elias and Jackson Riker, approach them. Elias talks about how he has respect for Priest, and how Priest has respect for him, or they have mutual respect because of what they do. And he offers a one-time opportunity for Bad Bunny. He says, we've both known what it's like to top the charts in the music industry, blah, 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 blah. My shit was #1 on Apple Music. You're going to be a fucking star soon, too. How about we drop a single? Imagine what that would do for the music industry. Bad Bunny says something in Spanish to Priest, and he's like, oh, yeah, he said no. And then that's the end of the segment. We come out. We go to a commercial, we come back, Elias is in the ring, cutting his, promo. He's like, hey, the Universal Truth was snubbed from the Grammys and that shit, but I'm here to remind everyone, especially Bad Bunny, what WWE stands for. Walk with Elias. Interrupted by Bad Bunny's music. Priest makes his entrance. Then we have Priest versus Elias. Decent match, I guess. A little bit too similar to the match with Garza last week. Not as much distractions with Bad Bunny this week, just like, Priest kind of did a lot of the spots in the same way, you know what I mean? And he did like the sequence of them fairly similar. Like he did the corner thing, and then he did and then he did like his signature, the broken arrow or whatever, and then there's a kick out, and then there's a little bit of distraction when Priest is on the apron, then he does his little spin and then his kick, and then he goes in, and then this time he got interrupted with a big knee, but then he ends up getting the win. So a little bit too similar to his match last week, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just it is what it is, I guess. So yeah, but the match itself was fine. I mean, the length of the match was fine. It was decent. We got Priest winning, which is the right result. Elias doesn't need wins. He can need a pin. So no problems with that match, really. Bad Bunny's still involved, but he's not a main factor. So, it puts shine, it puts the light on Priest. So all good there. And then we had a Randy interview backstage where he was asked what he makes of the bizarre happenings that have been happening to him since TLC. He doesn't know what happened last week, but he knows that Alexa had a part to play in it. And then they show a replay of last week. He suggests that Alexa, kind of moves on if she doesn't want the same fate to happen to her that happened to Fiend, because he will show no remorse. Alexa pops up on the screen. She calls Randy silly. She winds up one of those little like Jack-in-the-Box things. And then she whispers, bring him back. But before we can, there's something Randy should know. You cut to black a little bit or a close-up on her or whatever. Bring him back. Then we cut to a possessed Randy Orton, like a double on the screen with black eyes and stuff like that, like fully blacked out eyes. And the possessed Randy Orton in a distorted voice says, this doesn't end on your terms. You will come face to face with everything you've ever done. And then he starts maniacally laughing while Randy has a coughing fit and he goes off the screen. A lot of people hated this on Twitter. I like it. I like the bring him back as a like saying. I like the Jack in the Box. I like the pentagram. I like all of Alexa's stuff. Randy still being kind of like, hey, like everything's fucked up here, but I'm still going to just fucking go head on. You know what I mean? It fits with Randy's character because Randy's not like a, I'm going to get scared and tuck my tail thing. He's a, hey, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do whatever kind of thing. So it makes sense for his character to kind of like keep going down this path. I liked, like I said, the Alexa stuff, the pentagram, the Jack in the Box, all that shit. I like the possessed Randy, man. I like the possessed Randy. It's mind games. It's this and that. Because you can't sit here. You can't sit here and just be like, oh, this is shit. This is shit. There's two Randys. Wow, that's shit. Wow, clones in WWE. In the build-up to Undertaker and Randy, they had a fake Undertaker in a casket. They've had a fake Heidenreich in a casket. They've had Undertaker face the Undertaker before. It's been done before, and it's been done with like body doubles or in a live crowd or pre-tapes or whatever. So who cares? Bray is the new Undertaker. Let him do the hokey fucking spooky shit. And it wasn't poorly done. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't poorly done. It was fine. I didn't see anything wrong with this segment. I enjoyed it. If you don't like it, like, fine, go ahead, don't like it. But, I mean, I don't see any problems with it. I do think that they need to maybe bring Fiend back before Mania, but then again, it would be a good Mania surprise. It would get people to tune into Mania if it's like guaranteed that he's back. So maybe they'll reveal like, hey, I'm going to be back at fucking Mania, so tune in to see what I look like, how I've transformed, how I've been reborn kind of thing. Unless they end up doing a Randy versus Randy cinematic match, which actually I think could be... I think it could be good if it's done right. So if you just give Bray full creative control with that, then I think that could be done good. So yeah, I liked it. I absolutely liked it. No problems with that there. Then we had Miz versus Lashley at 10 p.m. Eastern Time for the WWE Championship. Or, except, Miz comes out first this time. Lashley comes in. Before the introductions, Miz gets on the mic. He says, hey, let's talk business. Hey, okay, you've been waiting 17 years for this, Lashley. This isn't the right stage. This isn't the right stage for you to win the championship. How about it? You versus The Miz in the main event of WrestleMania. MVP's like, nah, we're doing it right now. Bell rings. Miz immediately rolls out of the ring, grabs his title, fucking Roadrunner, hauls ass backstage, gets counted out, and Lashley wins by countout, but still champion as per the championship rules. No countout or DQ for a title change. Miz retains his championship. Now, a little bit void of logic here, because if you know Miz is trying to escape, why would Cedric and Shelton not be out there to kind of prevent something like that from happening? One, right? That didn't really make too much sense. Lashley just kind of watched him do it and then run. He didn't when he saw him run and ask for the title, you'd think that Lashley would be like, oh, you're not getting away, get out of the ring, and then whatever. So there was a little bit of a void of logic there, unfortunately. But once again, it would have been anticlimactic to have the title match at 10 and then just have like Charlotte versus Shayna later in the night, because that's what was announced earlier. That was already announced earlier in the first hour of the show that was going to happen tonight, so you knew it was coming. So it's like, okay, so we're going to have Lashley win the title and then Shayna versus Charlotte with nothing on the line for the main event. I don't really, you know what I mean? So yeah, but anyways, we had that going on there. Miz got counted. Another thing is, like, why would Lashley just let it happen? Why would Lashley not, like, hijack the show, keep breaking the count, tell the ref to break the count kind of thing, tell Cedric and Shelton to go look for him, and he's going to keep getting in and out of the ring to break the count because he's not leaving until he gets his shot. You know, something like that. So the logic was a little bit, it was a little bit void of logic for this one. I'm not mad at the bait and switch again. Because, you know, it basically, my thoughts on it, and this is kind of spoiling the end, but we'll get to it. If they would have bait and switched the main event and had it postponed to next week or Fastlane, then I would have been pissed. If you're just bait and switching throughout the night and it just still happens on the end of the night, I'm fine with it, honestly. We got there. You didn't extend it for longer than it needed to be extended. He still won tonight. So it's fine. But just the way that they did it, there was a few, you know, a couple things where it's like, there's no logic there. Logically, this could have happened, but, you know, for what they wanted to do for, you know, bait and switching again and postponing it for later, that's fine. We get back from commercial. Lashley and MVP are talking to Shane. Shane says, don't worry, there will be another title match tonight. MVP straight up on WWE television yells, "This is bullshit, man," which I fucking loved. Shane says that he'll consider stripping Miz of the championship and giving it to Lashley if he doesn't defend the title later tonight. Lashley says he would prefer if he found him so he could beat the piss out of him. I like them being allowed to say bullshit and beat the piss out of him. I guess they're allowed to do that in their last hour, and since we were from 10 to 11, that's their last hour of programming. I guess they're allowed to go with the swearing and stuff, which they utilized. It felt real when MVP said this is bullshit. It felt real because everybody watching, I feel like, or a lot of people, most people watching, I feel like, don't really want Miz as the champion. They want Lashley as the champion because, you know, it's Lashley's time now. Miz's time is way in the past. You know what I mean? If Miz can find a way to reinvent himself and get himself really popular again, then I'm not saying it'll never be Miz's time again to be WWE champion. But 2021 wasn't his time. 2020 wasn't his time. You know what I mean? It's just 2016. I keep saying it. 2016 was the exact time to give the title to Miz over on SmackDown. That would have been perfect, but unfortunately, they didn't, and they did it this way around. But yeah, no, he's just, I mean, his whole point was being a transitional champion, so that's fine. So yeah, the bait and switch I'm not too upset with. Just there was no logic there, so I wasn't really happy about the voids of logic. They could have done it a different way, kind of thing. Like maybe he low blows and then fucking hauls ass or something like that, kind of thing, and then, you know, it counts as a title defense, and then you can do that, you know what I mean, instead of the count out shit, because then there's no like logic of, oh, why didn't they stop him? Oh, why didn't they do this? Oh, why did he let the count go? Oh, you know what I mean? If he gets low blowed and he leaves, you know what I mean? Lashley's on the floor holding his nuts. He's a monster, but he's not, he's still a man. You kick a man there, sayonara, they're going down, you know what I mean? So, they could have just done like a kick to the nuts as a DQ and gets Lashley even more pissed, and then they still do what they ended up doing, so it's fine. But then again, we had a Charlotte promo. Oh boy. Okay. We had a Charlotte promo. She said when she came back to genuinely team with Asuka. She didn't want to be in the title picture, despite her first promo after TLC being, hey, I'm happy being tag champs, but about that title before she got cut off by somebody. So, fuck you. That is not true. She said, you know, they got involved with tag titles, blah, blah, blah. Then she got, you know, tied up with Lacey and Rick, and now that's done after she told Rick to go home and he listened. But she says that we're 6 weeks away. Bianca chose Sasha over on SmackDown. So she's there wondering who is Asuka's challenger. And Charlotte thought about it. And to reveal her true colors, she wants the title. She wants to face Asuka. But Asuka's at home injured. They show the replay. So, you know, she knows Asuka. She knows Asuka's going to come back stronger. And when she comes back, she's going to be the one to challenge her for the title. Shayna and Nia interrupt. He's like, oh, you know, talking about yourself, Charlotte, what's new? Which I fucking popped for because absolutely. she says how she calls herself the queen, but she's fighting an uphill battle here. She's an army of one. She would suggest to, keep teaming with Asuka, but, Shayna's the reason she doesn't have any teeth right now and she's not here. Maybe you should get some help. Nia sits in and she's like, hey, you sent Rick home last week. Yeah, that's fine, but everybody in the back wishes you sent yourself home. No one likes you. Blah, 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 blah. It'll either be Shayna or most likely me who will challenge Asuka when she gets back. Charlotte said some shit that fucking made no sense. She's like, you guys call yourself dominant, call yourself whatever. I don't call myself anything. When people talk about me, they just call me Charlotte Flair. Okay, Charlotte, Mojo Rawley. That means he's dominant and he's the best in the world and stuff, right? I just called him by his name, Charlotte. That's your logic. Mojo Rawley's the best wrestler in the world, right? Because I just called him Mojo Rawley. And people just call you Charlotte Flair. If you worded it differently, like a good promo would, you could have said those accolades, they already accompany my name, so all you need to do is call me Charlotte Flair. If you word it differently, it's a good promo, it's a good line, but you just being like, oh, nobody calls me all these accolades, they just called me by my name. That's not a fucking burn. That's not a fucking praising yourself. That's just being like, oh, hey, that's my name. Mojo Rawley, best in the world. Like, she's not a good babyface promo, man. She just really isn't, and it's fucking painful. Shayna gets in the ring. They brawl a little bit. They get some heat by attacking her pre-match, and then Nia does her leg drop. We go to commercial. We come back from commercial, and it's Shayna versus Charlotte. They do a thing where Charlotte gets sent to the outside. Nia sets up to run and tackle her. Charlotte moves. Nia goes into the steps. She goes into the ring. Kirifuda clutch. Charlotte gets out of it, kicks out the back of Shayna's knee. Natural selection, 1, 2, 3, clean victory against the odds. Vince McMahon, go fuck yourself. Get a fucking drill, put it up your ass, and fucking turn it on because you fucking stink. Okay? You don't need Charlotte in the main event picture for the fucking millionth year in a row. Just do Asuka and Shayna, or Asuka and Rhea Ripley, or Asuka and Peyton if you build her correctly, which you said you would when you split up the Iconics, but then you never fucking did. Oh my fucking God. Awful. Promo was shit. Match was not good because of the outcome. Go fuck yourself, Vince McMahon. Then we had Shane and Pierce backstage, and Shane tells Pierce to go tell Lashley that it's official. If Miz doesn't defend his title, he will be stripped of the championship and it'll be awarded to Lashley. Then we had a 6-man tag, Riddle and the Lucha House Party versus Retribution. Very short match. I'm gonna keep it a stack. I was still kind of pissed off about Shayna and Charlotte, so I wasn't really paying attention to the match. All I know is that it was short. One of the Luchas pinned T-Bar. Mustafa Ali got furious, got in the ring, lambasted everybody in the ring, and he's like, hey, Riddle, don't go anywhere. I want you in the ring. And I'll show these guys how it's done because they keep failing me kind of thing, right? He's like, oh, you guys fail me over and over again. What do I have to do? I'll show you how it's done, blah, blah, blah. We go to commercial. We come back. Ali versus Riddle. There was an insane... The match was good. Ali had a lot of... Ali had the momentum early on. Riddle kind of turned it around. And then as Riddle was setting up to win, we had something. But before that, the kind of turning point in the momentum, Ali did that thing where he shoots off the ropes to do a neck breaker on the rebound. He did it earlier in the match and he connected with it. He did it again in the match, but this time Riddle jumped into a sleeper hold, and it was one of the cleanest fucking reversals that I've seen ever. So that was fucking dope. But anyways, Riddle has Ali set up for the floating bro. He starts to go up the turnbuckle for the floating bro. Slapjack comes across to distract. Then we got Mia Yim, Reckoning, whatever the fuck her Retribution name is, getting in the ring to distract the referee. Then Mace and T-Bar kind of intimidate Riddle while he's on the top, on the rope, on the turnbuckle. Ali gets up there. I think he went for a top rope, backstabber, but he kind of botched it, and I think the timing was wrong because when they were coming down, Ali adjusted and he kind of like positioned himself forward so he would land on top of Riddle instead of landing with his back to the mat. I think the timing was wrong or something. Maybe somebody slipped. I don't really know. But Ali pins Riddle. I think I just hit my mic arm. Apologies. Mixed thoughts about this one because Riddle, Mustafa Ali getting a clean win didn't happen. Sorry, Mustafa Ali getting a win against somebody high up on the card, and you know what I mean. He's a champion, whatever. Mustafa Ali getting a win needed, very good, right? Because you should be treating Mustafa Ali seriously, whether as part of Retribution or not a part of Retribution, and they disband. Mustafa Ali should be one of your most looked after talents because he's fucking fantastic. Great promo, really good in the ring, good. So it is what it is. So him getting a win is good. However, in typical WWE fashion, they had their champion lose like immediately after winning the championship. And like there is a time and place where you can have the champion lose to set up a championship match. Like I don't have a problem with that in essence. It's just WWE just constantly do it, you know what I mean? And it gets to the point where it's like, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to tell a story, then sure. If you're going to build to something, then sure. If it leads to something, then I don't really have problems with it. But oftentimes with WWE, it doesn't lead to anything. I mean, look at the Kofi and Mustafa Ali stuff. That led to nothing. That ended with like a random fucking match on Raw 2 weeks before Chamber, and then they were like, okay, Kofi's in the Chamber. Cool beans. Mustafa Ali didn't take his spot. You know what I mean? Like, so typically they don't lead anywhere with stuff. So like Riddle losing, you know, granted there's multiple fucking distractions leading up to it and stuff like that. But just it's kind of like it's a win-lose because Ali getting a win, huge win, good, very good. Riddle getting a loss, probably not the best. A lot of people hate Riddle, so a lot of people probably don't care that Riddle lost, but I won't really get into that. So, yeah, I mean, if it leads to something, yeah, okay. If it doesn't, like in typical WWE fashion, and they just gave somebody a loss because they don't think wins and losses matter, then, WWE. So, whatever. Pierce and Shayna are talking backstage. Miz is like, oh, I'm here. He starts complaining. He's like, are you seriously going to strip me if I don't defend the title? Blah, blah, blah. This is going to be detrimental to the brand. The brand needs me. Blah, blah, blah. I can do media calls. I can do this and that. I can do this and that. I deserve to go to Mania. I deserve respect. Blah, 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 blah. You should be protecting me. Are you really going to, sit there and give Lashley the win? And then Shane's like, oh, that's up to you, champ. And then blah, blah, blah. I think we go to commercial there. We come back. Lashley versus Miz. Title match. Miz raises, or as the ref's raising the title, Miz grabs it, and then Shane's music hits. He comes out. He's like, hey, to ensure that this is a legitimate title defense, here are some lumberjacks. Lumberjacks come out. Braun was one of the lumberjacks, which to me did not make any sense whatsoever. Because he hates Shane. Why would he be a lumberjack for Shane? So that didn't make sense. Hurt Business were part of the Lumberjacks. You'd think that after 2 times getting away with it, the Hurt Business would just be like, hey, let's all of us go out there and make sure he can't get away with it. So you think Hurt Business would have been there already. So it is what it is. But, a couple of things void of logic there, but it's just small things, really. Yeah. So match starts, bell rings as the ref's trying to hand off the title to the, ring keeper or whatever the fuck. He grabs the title, tries to hit Lashley. Lashley catches it. He's like, oh, you done fucked up now. Miz avoids Lashley as much as he can. He gets out of the ring. He tries to bargain with the Lumberjacks. He's like, hey, you and me at Mania. I can make it happen. Just don't put me back in there. Gulak throws him in. Lashley fucking mauls him for a bit. There comes a spot where he picks up Lashley in like a press and then throws him to Retribution, who catch him and throw him back in. Before this, there was a point where Miz kind of got out of the ring and was pleading with Mustafa Ali's help, and Mustafa Ali would just had his hands up. He's like, I'm not doing shit, brother. Go deal with it. Hurt Business came across. They threw him back in the ring, and then a couple more beatdowns happened. Then he gets thrown out to Retribution, who catch him and throw him back in. there was a spine buster that Lashley did where he got a whole lot of elevation on Miz and fucking slammed him down, and Riddle fucking popped huge for it. Riddle was one of the lumberjacks. He was on the hard cam and he fucking like jumped up. He was like, holy shit. And he went and sat on the fucking barricade and started like waving his legs because he was just so like hyped up about it. He was like, fuck, that was insane. So I thought that was funny. Put in a hurt lock, Miz taps, and Lashley is the new WWE champion. Yeah, right decision, 100%. Right decision, 100%. Miz should not have been having a long title reign at all in 2021. I understand that they kind of booked themselves into a corner with the Money in the Bank, him winning to be a transitional champion to get it onto Lashley so they can set up Drew winning it back at Mania. A Lashley loss at Mania sucks. It really sucks. But, you know, you need to get the Money in the Bank soon because Money in the Bank pay-per-view is shortly after Mania, so you're getting close to having it get void, and I don't think it would be a good storyline thing to be like, oh, hey, the person with this Money in the Bank decided they didn't want to use it, because then it kind of buries the Money in the Bank. It's like, oh, if you won it and you have to do that match to win it, why bother if you're not going to use it if it's not worth you, right? So they had to have the cash in. Elimination Chamber is a good enough time. It gets it on Lashley, which is good because Lashley absolutely deserves it. And he deserves it now. You know what I mean? Again, Miz 2016, his time, I would have been A-okay with it. 2021, not so much. As a transitional champion, yeah, that's fine. Couple week reign, that's fine. I'm fine with it. I saw people on Twitter saying he should have had a year-long reign. I would like to know where you buy your crack because I would like some. But, yeah. He won, he starts celebrating with the title, then he puts in the Hurt Lock again on Miz, starts celebrating a little bit again, and then he ends up celebrating with his foot on a fallen Miz with the championship. Lashley is WWE champion. Thank everything good and holy. Thank the wrestling gods, basically JBL. So, yeah, in terms of the matches that I kind of like brushed over in terms of quality, the 6-man tag was too short, and I was still mad about the Shayna and Charlotte thing. So yeah, I don't really have an opinion on the match quality. Ali and Riddle was good, back and forth, good, not back and forth, but like, momentum for one, then momentum for the other, and then, whatever. And then the Lashley and Miz match, in terms of quality of the match, yeah, it was a lumberjack match with a chicken shit heel and a fucking monster heel. Basically, dude avoids the dude catches an ass whooping, dude gets thrown around by the lumberjacks, dude catches an ass whooping again, guy loses. That's pretty much it, and that's how you have to book those matches. If Miz got any sort of a match that was like close quality out of him versus Lashley, it would have fucking taken away Lashley's momentum. Because if Lashley can go head to head with Braun and beat Braun clean, and then he gets like almost beat by Miz, and there's a close one-on-one match, and Miz like actually out wrestles Lashley, you're just like, what the fuck? This dude who could kill him can't do shit to this chicken shit heel. Like, you have to have Lashley maul him. Which is fine. I expect them to go back to Miz doing the Priest and Bad Bunny stuff. I expect them to go back to that. They could do a whole like, hey, I saw that championship match last week, Miz. Unlucky, boy. Unlucky. And then, have him like beat them down backstage or something and something like that. I don't really care. I think that's where they're going with it. If Bad Bunny's still around, I think he's going to be around for a tag match to put over Priest at Mania. So, the booking, absolutely correct. Lashley should win. Miz should not be champion for a prolonged period in the current timeline, in my opinion. So, Raw overall, what did I really hate about this match? Nia getting a clean win, Charlotte getting a clean win, I hated, right? Absolutely hated that stuff. I hated the Braun promo. I hated the Charlotte promo. But Lashley won the title, so I'm really fucking happy. So, the first match was great. Absolutely fantastic first match. I'm happy that they didn't do Drew getting involved and then making it a triple threat at Fastlane, because I thought I said it in the last episode, last week's review. I said it like, hey, this is probably what they're going to do. It's a WWE thing. It would be nice to have Lashley win. It would have been nice to have Lashley win last week, but they prolonged it to this week, and I was like, okay, he should win next week, but they'll probably prolong it to Fastlane. Luckily, they did the right choice. They had a layup, and they did not get denied. So they ended up doing the right thing. They converted, and they got that championship onto Lashley. Once again, it is going to stink to see him lose the title to Drew at Mania, and that's not because I dislike Drew, that's just because I think they've built Bobby Lashley so well over the last year, and it would really take away some of his momentum to have him lose at Mania. So we'll have to see if that's what ends up happening. Maybe they're just fully ready to commit to Lashley, and then maybe they have Lashley and Brock at Mania. You know, maybe they have Drew and Lashley at. But then Brock's gonna win unless they want Lashley to beat Brock. And then could you imagine though, Lashley and Brock at Mania? You know what I mean? Whew, they would just beat the fuck out of each other for like 5-10 minutes, and then we all go home happy if Lashley wins. We all go home pissed off if Brock wins. But I don't think that's going to happen. I would love to see that happen at SummerSlam for the championship with Lashley retaining, but I don't think that happens at WrestleMania. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of what I want to give it from like rating out of 10, because initially I was thinking 7. Right, that was my gut feeling. And then I remembered how much shit I hated, and then I was like, oh, I mean, like, maybe like a 6? But then I'm like, oh, but the first match was so good, and then the main event was the right decision, and I'm really happy that Lashley won the title. So maybe back up to a 7. 6.5. We'll cut it down the middle. 6.5 Raw from me. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments. What you thought of Raw. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Do you agree with me that Miz should not be champion for a prolonged period now? Or are you one of the people who I'd like to know who your dealer is so I can get some of that crack that think Miz should be champion for a year in 2021? But yeah, no, jokes aside, let me know what you guys thought of Raw down in the comments. Like I said, 6.5 from me, even though my opinion doesn't matter. I'm just some idiot on the internet, but you know, we all are really. So yeah, dude, let me know what you thought of Raw down in the comments. What am I trying to say? What do I say in my outro usually? I have no idea, do I? I'm proving that I'm an idiot on the internet, dude. If you'd like to check out some of the other stuff I do on the channel, you can check out a couple links to my gameplay stuff, because that's primarily what I do on the channel. Specifically, I have a GM mode, SmackDown vs. Raw, SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, 2007, 2008. I have GM modes on the channel where I actually book storylines in the gameplay kind of thing and kind of like do that. So if you'd like to see how I book a wrestling show, you can check that out to see how I do that and other gameplay stuff on the channel. If you would like to support me on the channel, you can do so over at Patreon. First link in the description. If not, that's A-okay. Join the Discord, link in the description. Follow me on Twitter, link in the description. Please sponsor me Peace Tea, obligatory Peace Tea sponsor me gimmick. Got to get that in there. Be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode, because YouTube likes to zuck your boy and not put my videos in your sub boxes. So by pressing the nice old bell icon, you will get a push notification anytime I do upload, and you'll never have to miss it. And yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys thought of Raw, and if you guys enjoyed the review, please leave a like, subscribe, share it to all your friends, comment down below, all that good shit, and I'll see you guys next time.